contract, the Americans, that the European Union produced doesn't have any commitment to that extra 15 billion cubic meters of gas. It says America will do its best endeavors to meet it. Best endeavors is, full of holes. Qatar has said formally, I know a German minister went there and came back and said Qatar has said that they will help out with gas. But actually Doha has said formally, we never made that commitment. We couldn't make the commitment. We don't have the capacity to make that commitment. I'm very sorry if we cannot replace Russian gas. So where, EU, is it coming from?
Well, as you know, and as you alluded to, for instance, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson talking about it's the principle that matters. This is about the foundations of the European ideal philosophically, even the Enlightenment being talked about. Obviously, one feels it strangely when it comes to the banning of free expression and free media. Obviously, RT comes to mind, but of course, CGTN and Press TV media is banned, dissenting media. Zelensky has been the subject, arguably, of a huge PR operation in Western Europe and NATO-aligned countries. What do you think he faces at home in Ukraine as per the far-right elements in Ukraine society? And is, in effect, Putin need to protect him as peace talks go forward if a peace deal is to emerge?
I mean, it's a complicated picture, but we do know that Zelensky, of course, has, all of these Zoom meetings with parliaments and have been carefully choreographed, and someone has provided the videos and the means to do this, and that almost certainly is the United States. And the question really comes down to the issue of is the United States ready, are all of European states, because some of them don't seem to be, really ready for a long war, or do they want a short war in the Ukraine and a political settlement? And it's not clear that that decision has yet been made. We see that. I think you mentioned yourself at the start that there was, so far there was nothing, and there would be another meeting later on. I don't think Zelensky is a free agent in this. He is very close, even with his background, he is surrounded by members of the Azov and right sector groups, and works very closely with some of the leaders of those groups. And are they ready for a ceasefire or an ending of the process? It's not clear that that is the case, but it's also not clear. Russia has set certain objectives for this military operation, and it is still possible that if they feel they've achieved those objectives, they may feel that the best thing is simply just to go and leave. And the Donetsk and Luhansk republics will look after themselves in their own way once the Russians have completed their military operation. The Black Sea coast will be similarly probably an autonomous region. Maybe Western Ukraine will be taken by the Poles. Maybe parts of the other parts of Ukraine will be taken by Hungary. We don't know quite. Certainly the Polish Prime Minister has made it very clear they have territorial ambitions, because most of that land on the west, Lvov and all of that, were Polish originally, and he said they have territorial needs, requirements from Ukraine. And I think there was a long conversation between the Polish president and that of Biden when he was in Warsaw, when the Polish president was arguing very strongly that the Polish military should be able to go into Ukraine and take some of that land that was theirs originally. So, we may see something very different as the outcome. If there can't be a negotiated diplomatic outcome, we may find it's a sort of de facto balkanization that takes place in Ukraine. I'm not sure who that would suit, if anyone, But I mean, one can't say that is not going to be an option. It might be the only thing that emerges, faute de mieux, for lack of anything better to arrive from the situation.
Presumably China wouldn't appreciate that too much with its close trading ties with Kiev. But if billions of dollars worth of weapons continues to be poured into Ukraine by NATO-aligned countries, notably the United States, that many see as prolonging the war, can we see an uptick in the violence? We've seen the pictures of so many refugees, let alone dead bodies of civilians. Can we see an uptick in increased violence, or will NATO, along with businesses and the corporations of the planet, eventually have to back down to save the planet, in effect?
Well, you know, the United States continues to pour money in. They've just announced more money, another tranche and more weapons to go there. I'm not sure that they can actually get those weapons into Ukraine because the Russians have been very adept at destroying weapons supplies and weapons dumps inside Ukraine, even close to the Polish border. So it's not so clear that this is really possible. But nonetheless, can the war go on? I think there is a camp within, let's call it a camp within Washington, that would like it to become a quagmire, like Afghanistan was for the Soviet Union all those years ago when I was there. Would they like to do the same? One camp does. That's largely the State Department position. I think another one, like the Pentagon, is much less enthusiastic about that, much less enthusiastic because it fears that this might lead to a bigger conflict with Russia.
Alastair Crooke, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for the show.